welcome to tonight's presentation of the Friends as Sim Racers Tour Racing League Mountain Dew Dash Series, presented by the Fast Racing League, TDR Racing League, and Fuel Racing Leagues, all respectively. Tonight, we are at the beautiful Richmond Raceway. My name is Joe Twansky. I will be your lead commentator. I am here with Davey Hazard and Alex Gordo. How are you guys doing tonight?
Having a great time. I'm ready for a race at Richmond International Raceway.
Yeah, we're looking forward to a quality race tonight. A lot of familiar names up towards the front, and looks like qualifying was pretty close, so it should be a really competitive race tonight.
I think the most interesting thing about Richmond is the fact that it's one of these longer short tracks, right? We have a track that is 3/4 of a mile. We're in for a 100-lap race tonight, which roughly puts our drivers at one stop. What kind of challenges can that pose for a driver, Davey?
Well, tonight at Richmond International Raceway, you're gonna see a lot of problems heading into Turn 1. Turn 1 is the problem corner at this track every time we come here. Drivers are gonna be getting loose on entry, and you're gonna see the same thing in Turn 3. But Turn 1 is going to be the biggest challenge these drivers face as far as the racetrack tonight.
And Mr. Alex Gordon, how do you think the tire strategy will end up panning out for these drivers?
I definitely think saving tires is going to be big. Noticed, watching some guys in practice, they were really driving it hard in the corners early, and it showed on the long runs. And I think, if we do get some long green flag runs, tires are going to be important tonight. So watch for the guys that stay conservative early on to really be big factors at the end of this race.
I think the most interesting thing coming out of qualifying is that we had a literal tie for the pole. What do you think that says about the field tonight?
Well, I don't know what Davey thinks, but like I said, I touched on the intro. I mean, you've got 7 drivers within tenths, so I mean it really tight field. And again, I think that's where tire conservation is going to be key. It's going to be who can manage their stuff the best. I think it's who brings us into victory lane tonight.
And I agree, Gordo. I think there is one driver, however, who did not qualify, who is going to be about as fast as these guys. That's Rick Johnson, starting in the very rear of the field. He's going to be already burning his tires up a lot, trying to catch up to the rear, and then to the front of the field, because we know that's where he's going to be by the end of the night.
Yep.
And in the last time this series was at Richmond was in late 2019 in September. In that race, our colleague Tommy Bordeaux won the event after leading 93 of 100 laps. However, in that race, we had 9 cautions for 45 laps. Do you think we'll see a similar race this evening?
I think we will. This track is very, very tough. These cars are all very, very close, as you can see in qualifying. It's going to make calamity happen.
Yeah, and with 2 ends of the track that drive completely different from one another, you're going to see guys getting real squirrely getting into turn 1, and then you're going to see guys push up off the bottom in 3, and I mean that's 2 very easy ways to wreck your race car and multiple others. So
as we watch Randall Coleman during this warm-up happy hour session. Randall is the current leader and administrator of this racing league. You can check out the Fast Racing League on Facebook. They have a Facebook page, and to find out more information about the series that are run, currently Fast runs a Tuesday night fixed setup GNS Physics series, a Wednesday night open setup Cup series, and a Friday night open setup CTS Truck series in the NR 2003 simulation. As you see on your screen, we do not have any stands at the racetrack. That is to prevent any fans from attending tonight's event due to social distancing concerns. Crews and spotters are positioned away from the track with helicopter views of the stadium and event way. What do you think about that for tonight's race?
obviously safety is key. We don't want anybody being in harm's way during this pandemic, and but we still want to get out here and race and have a good time. So we're gonna show one for you guys tonight, and hopefully all things work out.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get distracted by all the helicopters flying overhead with the spotters in them.
It will be a sight to see for sure as you see Matt Watkins coming to pit road If we do have green flag pit stops, it will be very tricky here at the Richmond International Raceway. We will be coming up on the start of today's event. You saw cars disappear, you know. Here you see David Day, last week's, or 2 weeks ago rather, is winner at the Bristol Motor Speedway, another short track. As we've touched on, Richmond is a very unique speedway.
Yeah, unfortunately, wasn't able to do the back-to-back. Last week's race was due to inclement weather. Race officials have determined that they are not going to try to make up the race. So it's unfortunate. The Texas World Raceway has always been a host to great racing. I'm sure a lot of the drivers are sad that we're missing that event, but hopefully we'll get around to it next year.
Speaking of David Day, he is not sad that we're going straight to Richmond. He is always a key player at short tracks. He's very, very aggressive. A track like this plays into his hand.
All right.
Yeah, I look. Sorry about that.
No,
Joe.
go for it. Go for it.
No, I was gonna say I look for that 5 car and the 28 car to be duking it out for the win quite a bit tonight. So
I think you also have to watch points leader Matt Watkins, who has 3 wins on the season, the most of any other driver. He's been very consistent, as you hear the command to start engines.
beautiful Chevy Camaro. That's on loan from Dave Johnson's Chevy dealership down the road. He was nice enough to lend us the Camaro for the evening. And I believe that's actually Richmond's own Steve Bilkins driving pace car tonight. He won a raffle to get this experience tonight, so congrats to him.
As you see, we'll quickly try to go through at least the top 5 here. Matt Watkins starts on pole. Austin Hakes will start second. David Day third. Zach Krastowski fourth. Randall Coleman fifth, and Michael Murata in sixth. Seventh will be Andrew Miller. Eighth will be Bill Murnahan. And as we get ready to go green, throw the flag in the air. We are underway here at Richmond.
I'll tell you, these first couple laps, while the tires are coming up to temp, these are going to be important. You don't want to overdrive your stuff because you can sure as heck ruin your race in one corner.
Absolutely, and those tires are going to have so much grip at the start of this run. It's just going to push you to go quicker and quicker, but you have to hold yourself back. The more you push your car, the worse you're going to be once this race gets underway.
See Randall Coleman making a move for the 4th position on his teammate and driver Zach Krastowski.
You definitely want to be careful right now. Like I said, it looks like the 4 cars hit the wall for turn 2. No caution, no, he keeps it going, but it was a hard lick, so he'll have to keep an eye on that damage.
I think our spotters around the track also said he hit it on the first lap of this event, so trouble for Cody Luke in the number 4 right now.
39, awful low into turn 1. Oh, as the 4 is getting a little sideways, he gathers it up, we're staying green.
See, Austin got really high off of turn 4, let David Day by. I don't know if he was letting him by to save his tires up. You see Randall Coleman going to try to go back to the inside here.
Yeah, I think knowing how Austin races, that's definitely a strategy move right there. He's just making sure his car is there for the end of the race. I will tell you, it will play into these drivers' hands as this field gets strung out. They can really feel out their cars and not overuse their equipment. So hopefully, as I say that, the 1 goes around. Yeah, we got a car around in turn 2. Oh, another car loses off of 2. Looks like it's a 47. Yeah.
Andrew Miller around. These drivers will go back to the previous scoring loop to set the lineup as we come to the caution flag.
Yeah, look like
massive problems.
Yeah, no real damage there, I don't think. Look like harmless spins, so they should be able to keep going. But like I was saying, I kind of jinxed them. I was saying that it was all spaced out and they were able to feel out their cars, and go figure that led to a caution. So.
But it's exactly what we talked about. It's what we talked about with turn 1 being so problematic. Exactly what happened to Zach. He went into the corner, and the rear end just steps out. You have to be ready for that. You have to be prepared. If you need to trail brake to keep the car stable, you have to do that.
Yeah.
Or else you'll end up in mistakes like that. And fortunately, although he collected another car, you're right. It looks like 2 harmless spins.
Yeah,
Let's
luckily he locked it down there and turned it to the left instead of trying to overcorrect and ruin his race. So that was a good piece of driving by him and a good piece of driving by the 47 to not hit the wall either. So
It looks like Zach hit the 44 of Michael Murata. Um, Try
okay,
to get our reporters down on pit road to see if they can confirm if there's any left side or driver's side damage on the 44.
yeah.
Let's view that spin of the 47 now. It looks like he does the same thing coming off the corner. If you watch this replay, you're going to see he's going to have to go high because of the one spinning. Maybe he got hit by the one, and that kind of caused him to go around. You see our camera in the middle of the backstretch. But everyone doing a great job to make sure that this incident was not any greater than what it could have been, because that could have been a massive pileup.
Yeah, 44. I think all he's got to do is just got to pull the fender out off the left rear. I think he'll be fine. That kind of damage isn't going to hurt the car too bad on a short track.
Watching the car's pace right now. An update on pit road. Randall Coleman elected not to pit. Matt Watkins took 2 tires. Everyone behind him all took 4, starting at Austin Hakes.
Wow. So Randall Coleman with a strategy call early on. I feel like it's a little too early to worry about track position, but hey, you gotta think outside the box sometimes to win these things.
I wouldn't be surprised if Randall's thinking about just trying to stay out and lead a lap, but as I say that, of course, he goes right by pit road, stay out, hopefully be our leader as we go back green, and next time, hopefully, we got a couple more cars coming down pit road. And nope, lights are still on the pace car.
Doesn't look like he's going to pit, though. Looks like he's electing to stay out for the remainder of this caution period. Must be pretty confident with how much he saved his tires. Same with Matt Watkins taking the 2 there. I would be 4. The field's not big enough to really warrant trying to get that track position. I would have taken 4 there without a doubt.
I mean, it's not a bad strategy call. With this track being as slick as it is in 1 and 2, it's pretty much a one-groove racetrack. So as long as your stuff is good enough to hold on the bottom, it's going to be really hard to make things up. So as long as he's got a good handle of his race car, he should be able to keep this lead for the next stage of this race. So that could go completely out the window if we have another caution here. So. And looks like we're finally going to get the lights on the pace car, so we got one more lap green.
Hallelujah. So, as a driver, I mean, we've all obviously driven in NR and in the Fast Racing League, but when you have these early cautions, when you're starting to just get into your rhythm and your groove, and you have a caution, what do you have to do to kind of reset mentally?
I always find myself, I at that point, I probably hadn't even started, so it's not about resetting, it's about just finally getting into that groove. Early cautions are not my friend in that regard. I have a really hard time just settling in if we keep getting yellows early on. Don't know about Gordo, though.
Well, and the point, it's been so long since I've done this, I will say that the point I'll make is, this is a fixed setup league compared to an open setup league, so, it's well, I'll make my point in a second as we go back green.
Randall Coleman leading him down into 1. The 15 takes a wider angle. The 9 slides up the track. 15 cuts across the nose of the 28.
I'm not sure if that was a power move or if that was on purpose, but it looks like he's going to lose the position in the three here. They're 2 by 2 back to, looks like 5th.
They almost touch each other off the corner.
Yeah, say Randall's car got a little loose there coming off the corner, but he was able to corral it and keeps off for the 15.
Right now in this moment is key for Randall, though. He didn't pit on that last caution. His tires are a little bit older than everyone else's. He needs to take care of them now so they can last further into the run. Because as these drivers run during this green flag, so long as we don't get a caution, the tires are going to matter more and more. As we see Austin Hakes now taking a stab at Randall Coleman down into 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's he's going to get that drive off the corner, but Austin clears him.
Well, it looks like the 44 hit the wall.
Like he touched it again. Looks like 93 is going to make a move on the inside of Randall. So unfortunately, that pit road call is not paying off. Hey, it's still a long race, so. But the point I was getting to before we restarted that race was, open setup, when you make adjustments to your car, you gotta have a couple laps to feel it out, and having early cautions really doesn't help the driver because you don't get to feel out your car. With these fix ups, you kind of know what the car is going to do. You have an idea of it, and all you got to do is just it's more so getting into the rhythm of the track. And unfortunately, when you have an early caution, it takes you out of that rhythm. But once you get back going again, it's pretty easy to pick it back up.
And I think the most important part for a lot of these drivers is just trying to get into the swing of things. We've been off for 2 weeks in this series, and you got to knock some of that rust off if it's built up. It's obviously a very weird time outside of the sim, outside of the race car. So getting back into the race car might just be the therapeutic medicine that some of these guys need.
Sure.
And you really need long runs. The 15 gets really high. It looks like the 28 is going to try to. Austin Hakes is going to get run down into one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the 15 did that on purpose or if he got a little squirrely off the corner, but it definitely helped Austin there for a moment. Looks like he's got that car back under control now as he dives off into 3.
As we
Look
see
back, David Day moving the bottom below Michael Morata, gonna peek at Randall, but he's gonna slot right in the line, right in front of the 44.
Do you feel that's a little bit of a risky move this early in the race? It looked like he was really pushing it, trying to get into that spot.
I mean, he made it work, but if I was Murata, I wouldn't be very happy. It looked like he kind of had to force it, and on lap 18 of a 100-lap race, I'm not sure. What's going on, Gordo?
We are under caution. We've got the 3-car round coming off of turn 2, it looks.
He's back on pit road already. Had to call the tow truck.
Yeah, had to call the tow truck. Looked like it was just an example of what we talked about earlier, just that dive down into 1, gets that control, and around she went. So he nosed it in the wall there. Looks like he might have some cosmetic damage, but other than that, he should be okay. Maybe flat spot a tire or 2.
Yeah, we'll go on board with Bill Murnahan going into 1. You hear him get off the throttle, and the car just starts over-rotating, gets loose. Looks like he almost saves it, gasses it up, and just into the inside wall. Definitely has damage to the engine of that number 3 machine.
So an interesting strategy call yet again. The 9 car electing to stay on the racetrack as everybody else pits. Not sure what's to gain with this call, but we will. We're up in the booth and they're on the racetrack, so they've got a plan. Not sure what it is, but hopefully it works out for them.
So get ready to watch the race off pit road. Right side or left side tires going on now. Right side tires going on the leaders. Oh, it looks like the one of Zach Krastowski only took 2.
Yeah, the 1 car gets a great stop there. Looks like everybody else is going to follow off the pit road in pretty much the order they came in. The 44 may or may not have dropped us there, it looks like, maybe 2. That'll be an interesting restart. You got Randall Coleman on 3 lap. Well, I guess it'll be 22 or 23 lap old tires when we get back going here. And then Zach with 2 fresh tires on the outside. That could lead to some stack ups on this restart here.
I don't know. If I'm Randall, I'm yelling at the crew chief. I'm telling him, I need to pit. I need tires. Did you not see what just happened on that restart? He lost all the track position on the last run.
And now he's on even older tires. I mean, the rest of the field took 4. Zach took 2. I mean, I'm really curious to know what they're thinking in the 9 camp.
Are they maybe trying to save money? Oh, it looks like the 93 and the 5 are having fun.
Yeah, they're just trying to get the tires warmed up back there. Like I said, tire temps are key here. So they're obviously trying to get those things heated up so they don't spin them on a restart. Because you can get drop kicked to the back really quick on this track if you don't get going.
And while we're under caution, I'd just like to thank everyone tuning in on twitch.tv/Johto2. This is obviously our first event that we are broadcasting. We plan on broadcasting every Tuesday night, following along with the Mountain Dew Dash series. We'll have rotating commentary booths. We'll have, obviously, YouTube back in a future date. I think, Davey, you're planning on coming down to Talladega, Alabama for next week's race at the Talladega Superspeedway.
Absolutely. I can't wait. I love Dega. I love watching, love racing in it, but I'm going to be having a good time calling the race with you guys up in the booth.
Yep, and while you guys are up here, I think I'm going to bring the old fire suit to Talladega with me, see if somebody needs a driver next week. So I might be in the field racing with these guys.
I might have a couple extra cars lying around the old Team Twansky shop, so maybe I can get you into one of those next week.
Sounds great. I just need to get me fitted for that seat and make sure I can get a helmet big enough to fit my ego in, and we'll be all right. So.
As the lights are off on the pace car here, we're going to be coming back to green. So, we're starting to get settled in. We're about a quarter of the way into this race. We're going to be going green on lap 24 of 100. We're still in that window where we're going to have to make a pit stop if the thing goes green to the end. We're getting some longer runs. We're at least not bunched them up after one after another. We're at least getting a little strung out. Do you think that these guys... Is a guy like Randall Coleman, the number 9, is he hoping for another quick caution, or do you think he wants it to kind of play out a little bit more?
I think Randall is hoping that the track position helps him enough to keep him up front, but also hoping for a caution eventually so he can get on the same cycle. I don't think he wants to stay off cycle the rest of this race.
Alright, as the field comes through the Geico restart zone, we are going to be going back under green flag conditions here at Richmond. You see the 9 and the 1, they're side by side into the corner. Looks like the 15 is going to probably be able to... No, maybe not. Doesn't get as good of an entry, but the 9 again of Randall Coleman going way up the track on those old tires.
Yeah, say those tires not looking like they're paying off for the 2 leaders right now, or lack thereof tires, as the 15 is able to easily drive underneath the 1. He's going to complete the pass off of 4.
He slots in. Matt Watkins will quickly try to get back by Randall Coleman so he can try to maybe put some distance between him and a guy like Austin Hakes, David Day, and Ricky Johnson. But it looks like Matt's kind of struggling right now with it. He gets right up on the bumper. Randall looks like he'll have a better drive off turn 4.
And that's just going to be the story of this run. If Randall staying out like that is just going to be the same thing over and over again with that. These drivers are going to be getting monstrous runs off the corner compared to Randall.
Watching that 28 car right now, I'm not sure if he's got an issue or if he just got out of line there a little bit, but he was very slow coming off of 4 the last time. Lost a few spots. Hopefully he'll get back in the rhythm here and start picking them off, but might be an issue brewing on that 28. We'll have to keep an eye on that as we get to race.
It could just be going back to that whole tire saving thing, too. We could see that the 47, the 93, those guys are maybe pushing their tires a little too much right now in the run. As you see, he's going to close back up on the 47 of Andrew Miller. As we continue to watch Zach Krastowski here fending off the 93 of Ricky Johnson for the 4th position. Oh, actually, now it looks like the 93 is going to get underneath. He'll try to complete the pass down the backstretch.
Yeah, Zach took a very shallow entry in the 1 there, lost all of his momentum. That's going to allow the 93 and the 28 to pounce on him here. And don't be surprised if the 44 follows the train through on the bottom.
Oh, Zach cuts the...
Goes defensive,
looking
for the position, I think. Not gonna work out for sure. I won't be surprised if this ruins his exit. Austin's gonna get a run down in the gear.
Tell you what, that's an aggressive move to make 29 laps into this race right there.
Not one I'm sure the other drivers will be happy with, and they will remember that for the remainder of this race.
This is pretty much brewing like I thought it would. You've got the 15 of Watkins leading. David Day, who has shown a lot of speed all weekend. He's up running up there in the 2nd spot and chasing down the 15. Looks like he's trying to maybe arc it a little wider, diamond the corner a little more to get that momentum off, as they've distanced themselves from the 9 of Randall Coleman.
So we've touched on so far about how this racetrack is kind of that one groove. Looks like Randall got into the wall a little bit there off of 4, or off of 2 rather. Do you think that plays into the 9 strategy? That it's one groove, you can't really run above that bottom, that white line that's painted down there. Do you think that plays into his strategy at all, where it's not that he's taking a defensive line, it's just that he's running the line?
Whoa, absolutely. Sorry, Gordo.
No, you're fine.
But track position is going to be pretty important here. There's not as big an entry as usual, but it is going.
It definitely plays into the strategy. But if you're off race pace, these guys will not be afraid to use their bumpers. So if they feel like you're holding them up, you might be able to hold that bottom, but if you're slow enough, they're going to move you up off that bottom, and that's the one thing that Randall needs to look out for. Is he just needs to make sure that he's able to maintain race paces. We have a caution. Looks like the 39 has lost it in the middle.
Oh, the 4 is on his roof.
Oh my!
Big.
I thought I had the biggest wreck in the booth just now, but I'm clearly wrong. My headset fell off my head.
Well, we're
That
glad
is
to
a-
have you back on the recording here, and not sure what happened there. I know that it looks like the 39 just had a harmless spin going through 1 and 2. Not sure what happened to the. I was paying attention to the 39 going around in 1 and 2, and oh man, I
The
take that back.
4 car was having some mechanical issues.
39 did not have a harmless spin. Looks like he got loose on entry and just destroyed the left front of that vehicle.
As we go to the replay, it looks like he was into the wall coming down the straightaway, and he just he hit the pit wall,
Yeah,
and that just almost collecting the 3 car. It looks like that is some major engine damage.
poor car turned into a pinball down there in the middle of turn 1. It was one of the wildest things I've ever seen. Not sure what happened to the 4. Let me go back and check the replay here. I looked, but he was already in the middle of the corner with a lot of smoke coming off of his car.
It looks like, if
Man.
these indications early, it looks like he was slowing way down for the corner, and the 69 just got out, and his transponder went crazy, and he's along for the ride.
That was one of the wilder rides I've seen in a long time right there.
Have you ever?
No, I've never.
We want to remind everybody that we all have rookie stripes on, on our dress slacks here. We're all broadcasting for the first time for JTN. We just like to, again, thank everyone for tuning in. It's been a wonderful time so far. I see the chat is having a great time right now. But yeah, that was a ride for the 4 of Cody Luke.
Yeah, well, hopefully whatever his issues weren't too bad, and he can come back next week because that car got destroyed.
Looks like it was a mechanical issue heading into turn 3. It looks like he's going to be calling it quits for the night for sure. And Randall Coleman, our sole taker.
Finally,
this
yeah.
time
Looks
around.
like the 47 and 69 will be following him into pit road. And I gotta say, it honestly, I'm assuming they're a boarding mission on whatever strategy that 9 team had. But you know what? I don't want to bring it up yet, but pit strategy. This puts them when we go back green. It puts them right on that top end of the fuel window. So depending on what everybody else does, he may or may not be able to make a strategy call here and get himself off pit cycle and let it work out in his favor.
Right, Gordo. If we don't see a caution, that 24. Sorry, the 24. I'm so used to Randall running the 24. The 9 car is going to be sitting very, very, very come the end of this race.
Field comes back around. Looks like we have some more takers. The 1, the 3, and the 47 will come back in the pit road.
Again, they're trying to make sure that they are in the window as the lights are off on the base car.
Be interesting to see here what happens on this restart. You've got the 15, who's been the class of the field so far. He'll be restarting him first. And then you've got David Day, who, again, I've said, shown a lot of speed, maybe a little too aggressive at some points, but has shown quite a bit of speed during this race. And they'll be 1-2. So be interested to see how hard they race each other off into 1 and 2 here when they restart.
As you see the field forming up as we're going to be going into turn 3 with the way the restart zone is off the corner. Hopefully these guys don't slide their fresh new tires and put a little more wear on them than they'd really like. Your top 5, Matt Watkins in the 15, the 5 of David Day, the 93 of Rick Johnson, the 28 of Austin Hakes, and the 44 of Michael Marotta. As we go through the Geico restart zone, and green flag is back underway. The 5 gets an amazing jump. Looks like he'll be able to clear the 15 down into 1. Oh, maybe not.
15's fighting back on the inside. They're going to be neck and neck as they head off 2 down the backstretch.
Battle's going
to... in the back. 39 gets turned off of turn 2. And
big...
Big hit. Massive pile up on the back. And we are back under caution here at Richmond.
Looks like they're all rolling.
Yeah, one car was lucky to get back on his wheels. They're not sure if maybe the 3 didn't get the call late that there was a car spinning, but he sure did pancake him in the door there, and luckily they're all able to roll away and keep going here. So, but a massive pileup on the back stretch will bring out our our latest caution here in this event.
Do you see the one? He just runs into the 39 off the corner, and 3 was trying to stop. He just looks like the brakes failed him there. But
Yeah.
massive, massive problems on the back straightaway.
I think the helicopter with the 3-spotter had to land somewhere.
Yeah, looks like the 3 just couldn't get it loaded up in time. And honestly, this is a very slick racing surface, so the car is not going to stop on a dime. So I'm sure he was fully engaged with the brakes there, but just nowhere to go when you got locked up. And unfortunately, that wreck ended up being a little worse than it could have been. But all 5 cars were able to pull away, and hopefully they'll be able to keep going here this evening.
Well, and for these drivers, they're rather lucky that Richmond isn't really the most aero-dependent speedway. We're going to go on board with the helmet cam of the number 1 of Zach Krastowski here in a second.
That should be an interesting point of view here.
And I gotta say, the initial contact, I mean, you gotta remember the one car's been running pretty well all night. If you look at him here, he's starting to lose sight of that initial pack. He's probably trying to push to get up front and just maybe misjudged where his bumper was, trying to make up the ground.
Yeah, the closing rate on this track when you have fresh tires compared to older tires is just kind of ridiculous. As we take a look here from the in-car cam of the 1, and yeah, it just didn't judge the closing rate there on the 39 and got into him, and the next thing you know, along for the ride we go. So.
Well, it looks like the 1 has retired.
Yeah, looks like they were not able to fix the damage in that car, and that's a shame. He had a good run going this evening, and unfortunately just pressed a little too hard there and got himself in some trouble there.
And what is that, our 4th or 5th caution of the night?
I believe that is our 4th yellow this evening.
So, currently we are 43 laps in. Last time here we had 9 cautions for 45 laps. So we are on pace to meet that stat.
And I think some of these guys that are trying to run this race on pit strategy are kind of hoping for these quick cautions, because that way it really negates anybody trying to win this on pit strategy. It makes traction that much more important. So the guys up front definitely looking. I wouldn't say looking forward to the cautions. It's definitely not hurting them.
Well, and if you can bank on continuing to come to pit road to put new tires on it, or make sure you're not worrying about your fuel consumption, it's got to really ease the mind of the crew chief.
Absolutely. Drivers when it comes to tires specifically, drivers like David Day, who's going to be driving hard. You saw how he was on that restart, really muscling on the outside. He is going to relish the cautions he gets throughout this run. Obviously, didn't think it was enough to come in that time, but as these short runs continue, he's going to enjoy the cautions. I don't know how many more we're going to get, so it might not work out for him, but he's a driver that benefits from these quick green flag runs.
And I feel like as we continue to thin the herd here, we're going to see some more green flag racing for all these great racing fans on Twitch. As we come through 3 and 4, the pace car will pull off the speedway. Matt Watkins will lead him to green. Same top 5 as last time. Come through the Geico restart zone, and we are green flag racing back underway here at Richmond Raceway.
But the 5 was able to pull even with the 15 in the corner.
Really dove it in there on the outside.
Yes, he did. What a great drive off as they head off into 3. Oh, a couple cars bouncing off the wall, but they keep it going back there. We're staying green.
Might be advantage David Day off of turn 4 here.
And he will lead that lap, yeah. The advantage David Day as they go off into turn 1. He's got that outside rolling really well.
He's going to complete the pass here off of 2. What an amazing drive on the outside on the restart.
15 caught the apron a little bit in 1 and 2 there. Allowed David Day to finally get the momentum, enough momentum to finally clear the 50. It's going to be interesting to see how this race plays out from here. David Day had to have been running his tires very hard to make that pass happen.
Yeah, no doubt. He's one that doesn't he does not leave he leaves it out on the racetrack. That's the saying I'm going for. He
Doesn't
just
hold back.
yeah, he leaves it all out on the track, which is not a bad thing, and definitely gets you plenty of wins in this series. So
But it can also cost you on
that's
events
true.
where we have seen more green flag racing, like next week at the Talladega Superspeedway.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that race plays out next week. Super Speedway is an ultimate wild card, so a lot of these guys that are running towards the back, they look at next week as an opportunity to possibly get themselves in victory lane. So, be interested to see how that all plays out. But they got to worry about getting through this race first. It looks like the 5 cars put a little distance. Looks like he's got about a 3 car length, maybe 4 car length lead as he goes off in turn 1 here.
Field's remaining pretty unchanged right now, and I expect that to be the
Oh, the
pattern heading
69
into
is
the second
around.
half of this race.
The
Oh,
caution is out.
Oh,
Oh, the
FSN
3?
100% corrected.
yep. Yeah, David, we just need to stop talking about spacing tonight. Every time we bring it up, somebody spins. So
69 of Keith Patton here. And it looked like the 3 of Bill Murnahan almost made contact with him, slowing down. Again, those brakes, you got to be really careful going into the corner. We'll try to get you a replay of that real quick.
39. I'm not sure what happened there. If he had a mechanical failure in the 1, but he just plowed off the wall.
Oh, wow, I'm looking at that. Bounces
Yeah,
off the inside wall, much like earlier.
yeah, I'm not sure if he's got something wrong. Maybe a sway bar broken or something in the front of that car that made that thing jump sideways like that.
Something to keep an eye on. Don't want that happening under green.
No, absolutely not. And like you said, that was basically a replay of what he did earlier to bring out that 3rd caution. I'm not sure if something's put inside that car, but definitely not an ideal situation with how sweeping and long that corner is going in turn 1 and how slick it is as well.
As we're looking at this, as they are under caution when this happens, he just hits that wall ever so slightly and gets thrown back into the outside wall.
Oh man!
Engine
Hey,
damage.
just wanted to report that the 28 car looks like he is retired from the race. I'm getting word that he had an engine failure. They pulled it into pit road and he went to fire off the pit road and it just wouldn't go. So tough break for the 28. Ran in the top 5 all night. Showed his muscle early. Hopefully he'll be able to bounce back next week at Talladega.
Yeah, it's a shame. 28 was one of the cars I was looking at to really be a factor in the year. He was doing a great job managing the race.
And came into the night, I believe, second in points too, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's huge championship implications there.
Did you see Randall Coleman has once again stayed out? Tell me something I do not know. Do you find that surprising at all?
Yes, absolutely. I
Yeah.
think truthfully, we're due for a green flag run. The field keeps thinning. You know, there's a couple guys back there that seem to be having some problems, but it's just too much of a risk to stay out right now. Why would you not pit? There's no risk at all in coming in, grabbing 4 fresh Goodyears, coming back out. Even if you lose a spot, you're 6th or 7th, and you can probably make that ground up, I think.
Just a developing story. I'm looking on the backstretch here, and the 44 is seemingly stopped on the backstretch on the inside. Not entirely sure what has happened. We'll continue to look into that situation.
Looks like he received a black flag on that pit stop, and now he is tired from the race.
So
Probably
that's
another failure.
interesting. I'm not sure if they black flagged him. Maybe he was smoking. I didn't see anything on our screen here, but again, another driver that was up in the top 5, running very well tonight. So that's a shame. He was due for a good run there, and another untimely failure on another one of these cars. So strange happenings here within these last couple laps under caution.
Richmond Raceway just putting on a show for us this evening in our inaugural broadcast here on JTN.
It's kind of spooky with all this. It's not Halloween, is it?
2 months off. Sorry.
Oh,
Just a
okay. All right.
couple.
Look, all
Is
this
it a full
quarantine
moon
stuff,
though?
Your bubble.
all this quarantine stuff. I haven't paid attention to my calendar in a while, so
It is Tuesday night, right?
Understandable.
yeah. I don't know. It's one of them days ends and why, guys. That's all I know.
As the field goes through 3 and 4, the pace car will be pulling off here. Randall Coleman will lead him to the line with the 5 Davey Day on the outside.
And I gotta tell you, with that launch at the 5 got off in the 1 last time on the outside.
And he
this
gets
should
it
be
again.
Quick work. Yeah, it should be quick work here. As a 15 is gonna try to push him into the corner.
And Randall is not known for having the most restart prowess. He's more of a long run guy. They almost make contact off of 2, going down into 3.
Yeah, that was definitely tight. Oh, 9's getting
Slides
a little
up.
squirrely on entry there. Yeah. Looks like the 5's going to get the drive off, and he should be able to complete the pass as they go off into 1.
Looks like we're going to start a train around the outside of Randall Coleman right now. You have Matt Watkins, Rick Johnson, Andrew Miller's there waiting to take that position. Again, I'm just not sure about this decision to stay out.
Yeah, I get trying to be different with pit strategy, but when we've only been averaging about 4 or 5 laps on a green flag run, I just don't see what you're gaining from being off filter with your pit strategy.
93 got really loose into 1, just tagged the outside wall, took the right rear, just swung it around.
That was close call there. That could have been big.
He was able to lock it down just in time, got it under control.
Andrew Miller now looking for the 4th position on the number 9.
Meanwhile, as these guys race hard in the back, we've got David Day leading about 6 car lengths as he goes off into 1 and 2.
And he is making up ground on the 28, it looks like, or the 15 rather.
That'd be Rick Johnson, correct, in the 93? Yes, he is.
Yes. Do you think we'll get another caution? Because if we do, 5's going to look like a genius. But if we don't, in 10-15 laps here...
Every time we start talking about them getting strung out, they wreck. So I've got a feeling. I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to jinx anything. But cautions, especially at a short track. So, and when you've got a technical track that carries a lot of speed through the straightaways, it's very easy to lose control of one of these cars.
As we'll continue to watch 2nd through 5th here on the Speedway, we have 7 cars running out of the initial 10 or 11 that started this event.
Yeah, very unfortunate to see all those mechanical errors that we had this evening. But, like I said, you're on a very technical track, and it does do a lot of wear on your brake, on every bit of your car. Transmission, especially when you're trying to get that drive off into 1 and get that position on these restarts, it's just very critical to have every part of your car running as well as it can.
I want to speak about wear. I really cannot be too confident about the way the 5 tacking this run right now. A second gap between him and Matt Watkins over the course of a very short green flag run so far, and it's only growing.
Yeah, don't you think if you were his crew chief, you were to radio and tell him to back that pace down a little bit to save his tires?
Absolutely. If I'm in that car or if I'm on top of I'm telling him to maintain the gap. Do not run that car any harder than you need to. There's no need.
Right.
Will not gain any positions or any ground by doing that. If this race stays green, 5 car is going to look very, very silly.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Davey. Not saying that he's not doing a great job, because he's definitely got a faster car and a better line than most of these other guys. But like we said, we can't say it enough. Tire wear is going to be a key, and if he wears his stuff up now, what good's it going to be later in this run if we get that caution? And as I say that, we get a caution.
You had to say caution.
I just had to say it. I know I've been the bugaboo tonight. I tell you, as the 3 car went around down there in 1 and 2. I'm not sure if he had any help.
No help. Same problem spot as always, like we talked about.
Yep. You just try to overcharge these corners one too many times, and they'll reach out and bite you. And that's what makes Richmond one of the tougher tracks in this series. It looks like that 3 car is pulling up behind the garage for the day. Looked like he was leaking a little bit of fluid there.
Calling it a night. It's been a
Yeah.
rough race for him anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's like I said, it's just one of those things where this track will just reach out and grab you if you're trying to take it a little too hard as everybody hits pit road.
And like you said, everyone is taking advantage of this caution, as we're going to roughly go back green flag racing with about 30 laps. If we did go green at the end, that would obviously be our longest green flag run of the night.
Like the field's all taking 4 tires here.
5 cars gonna get off first. They had a
Yeah,
great pit stop there.
and a drag race for third between the 9 and the 93. It looks like the 93 got it.
Yeah, it was great stops all around there. Didn't look like any pit crews had any hiccups there, so everybody's gonna hold their ground here before we go back to green.
While we're under caution, I'd just like to take a moment to again thank everyone that is watching at twitch.tv/Johto2. Everyone that is coming on over from your Twitch channel, Mr. Gordo at
It'd be A Gordon 1109.
and to everyone that is participating in the chat, of course. We love to see it. And I'd also like to thank you two for joining me here in the booth tonight.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us, and I see we're trending about number 570th worldwide, so that's good. You know,
Putting up numbers.
that's hey man, you got to start somewhere. So hopefully next week we break that top 400.
Really appreciate you having me on, Joe.
Nah,
A
like
little bit of an idiot here and there, but
hey,
I think I'm getting the hang of it a little bit.
we're having a fun time. That's what we're doing for the people,
yeah,
right?
We're all a little wet behind the ears. This is a trial run, so we'll get it and we'll be better next week.
We'll just keep
no,
getting better.
It's been a good race. It's been an entertaining race. We've had a lot of on-track action. It's been, good and tight racing, and it's been good to watch this race up here with you guys. Always good to get the insight of other sim racers and kind of get to pick your brains a little bit as we watch through a run, see how you would attack the track or how you would do this or do that. So, been a really really nice evening all around.
And if you would like to join in on the action on the Speedway, you can of course check out the Fast Racing League on Facebook, as well as the TDR Racing League on Facebook.
Actually, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. You're good.
I was just gonna say, speaking on the race, looking at the cars we have left on the racetrack, 6 cars left on the racetrack, 6 cars retired. You gotta assume that we have a long run. Do you think David Day gets out to that same lead that he had in the previous run?
Without a doubt, I think he's going to put you here to get that gap early. It's been, what he's gone to this entire race, so I don't know why he would change it now. But as we discussed earlier, I mean, tires are going to be big later in this run, and if he's wise, he will back his pace down to maintain the gap you said, and hopefully have the car there underneath him when we get to these later laps. But I think that all goes out the window here if we have another caution or two. I think you're just going to drive it like you stole it and see who gets the trophy this evening.
As the pace car pulls off the speedway, we will be going back green flag racing with 30 laps to go. David Day leads him to the line as the green flag's back out. He gets a great jump. The 15 did not go on that restart. The 93 also clears for second.
Not. Yeah, huge jump by the 5, and that's going to help the 93 and the 47 both potentially pick up a spot here.
15 looked like he got a little loose off the corner. 47 is going to make a move to the inside. Andrew Miller. Still a side-by-side battle for third off of 4. Interested to see what Randall Coleman does in the 9 there as he goes to the outside of the 47. Looks like the 15 clears 47 through 2.
Well, I tell you, if we were running with any sort of a tire limit, he'd be sitting pretty right now because I think he'd have about 3 extra sets compared to everybody else. But yeah, he's just, I don't know. The car doesn't seem to be in the track very well right now. So, hopefully maybe a longer run will help him. But it just does not seem like the car is settling into the cars quite like the 5 car is.
So we were talking about a gap, talking about the leaders. The 93 car has not let the 5 car out of his sight. This is very, very close. This is not what I expected. I think the 15 car is now the car that's saving his stuff. 15 on back. Those are the guys who are going to be waiting for this green flag run to kind of go on and materialize and see what they can do at the end.
And the other possibility here is too is you don't want to speculate, but if the 93 and the 5 start overdriving their stuff, I mean, you could have one slip up into a corner. Next thing you know, they both could be looped around, and you hate to see it, but it's a possibility here on these tight short tracks. So the 15's sitting pretty if one of these guys decides to be a little too aggressive with their stuff.
As we are on lap 75 for Davey Hazard. Davey, is there anything you'd like to talk about?
I just want to talk about how tough this track has been, how much we talked about it, and it has rang true. Turn 1 has been a problem spot all night. Just about every incident, besides the mechanical issue for the 4 where he ended up on his roof, every incident's been heading into turn 1. Car gets loose on entry. It just really makes me appreciate Richmond International Raceway. I absolutely adore this track, and I love the difficulty it presents.
Yeah, and if you think the entry to 1's hard enough, then you got the track basically goes away as you come off turn 2. So it's definitely one of the harder series of corners in the sport. That's for sure.
As you see, we have a breakaway between first and second. The 5 of David Day, the 93 of Ricky Johnson. In third, you have Matt Watkins in the 15 Toyota Supra. Fourth is Andrew Miller in the 47 Chevrolet Camaro. And fifth is the 9 of Randall Coleman.
And see, right there, you saw the 5 car change his line a little bit going in the 3. He tried to diamond the corner. That's what he was doing earlier to make up some time on the 15. So maybe he's going to change his lineup to try to spread that gap out a little more on the 93 here as we get to the closing laps.
Do you think maybe the 5 was holding back a little bit more than he was on previous runs at the start there?
I think it's hard to say. I certainly think it's possible. Wasn't quite running the lap times he was running the last run. I was looking at his lap times. He was running pretty consistently in the 2s. This run has been kind of pretty consistently in the 3s. It's just a 10th, but that can really make a difference. Whereas Rick Johnson ran some of his fastest laps this run so far, and he's dropping off way quicker than David Day.
And as we talked about in the pre-race, you said 10th. If you remember, qualifying was separated by under 2/10. So a 10th is a huge amount of time on this kind of a track.
Heck, our front row ran the same exact lap time down to the 1000th place. And a track like Richmond, as we're at 19 to go, a track like Richmond, you can gain back a little bit of time, but it's a lot easier to lose time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Richmond is one of those tracks that, like I said, you if you overdrive your stuff, this track will grab you and it will wreck your race car. And it makes it one of the tougher tracks on the circuit because it almost invites you to overdrive your stuff, but then it'll, like I said, it'll reach out and it'll grab you, and you'll end up with a junk race car in no time flat.
We have an exchange for the lead.
Yeah.
Left over by David Day off of 4.
And of course, as that happens, we lose the video feed for a second, but now right back on 5 is David Day in the number 5. Rick Johnson, he had the lead for a second, and this is going to allow the 15 of Matt Watkins to kind of pull back in. Contact!
That's what we were talking about. If they overdrive their stuff, the 15's sitting pretty. And all this side-by-side battle, and the 15 is drawing in close. This will be a 3-car battle here very soon.
And I bet if you looked at that 15 tires right now compared to those 2, they are nice and they're ready. They're ready to use up the grip that he's been saving while these guys bled out. 15's in a good spot right now.
93 took a look at him going to 3 there, but thought better of it as they come off of turn 4. 15 to go.
And again, that is the racing that Richmond puts on. You kind of, while you do have that one groove around the bottom, there's like half a groove up there. So if you can take advantage of that half a groove a little bit better than the next guy, you can definitely make passes down the stretch.
Yeah, it all depends. Momentum is key, especially on a flatter racetrack like this. If you can roll the corners and get that drive off, you can make the bottom and the top work very well. Ideally you want to be on the inside because the shorter way is the quickest way, as they say. But in this case, on a track like this, that's relatively flat, if you can roll the corners, you can make it work.
Exactly. And Gordo, you also nailed it earlier, talking about, speaking about the outside, but how you talked about off of turn 2, the way the corner just washes up, the banking washes away, the car washes up to the wall. If you're on the outside and you have to make the inside car check up just a little bit, you get such momentum heading down into turn 3, and that helps
Yep,
you
absolutely,
massively.
absolutely. As it looks like these two lead cars have maintained their gap back to third. Now they've actually opened it up by a couple car lengths. Not sure if maybe they're saving their stuff for that last little run, or if 93 used all of his good up in the tires trying to
He
battle
got
with the
really
5
tight off the corner.
Yeah, he got really close to
In
that
the wall.
In
Down
the wall.
straightaway.
That's not what you want to do right now, as he's lost about 2 car lengths back to the 5.
Well, and you got to be careful as the driver not to start getting desperate and overrunning your quarters here.
And I'll tell you, a car that's coming on strong here all of a sudden, the 9 car Randall Coleman. Watch out for him. He's made up a lot of time these last few laps.
As we're at 10 to go here. And we lost video feed again for a second.
10 to go, yeah. I'm not sure if he'll get up. He's definitely tracking down to 15 here.
Yeah, he could be on target for a podium spot. David Day still running a 10th car, but out of these 4 cars, Randall Coleman is the second quickest car. You gotta wonder if the 93 is starting to finally fade away, and David Day just hustling the old tires on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a the 93, like I said, used all the goodness tires, or if the 5 did actually lay back and conserve there, or if it's a mix of both.
As we look at the battle for third place, the 15 of Matt Watkins holding off the 9 of Randall Coleman.
Now we might have lap traffic come into play before the end of this race. Keith Batson off of turn 2, the leaders off of turn 2. It's not a big gap. They are catching him quickly.
Yeah, if they keep this pace, they might catch him with about 2 to go, and you would think, hopefully, that Keith would merge to the leaders, but we've seen stranger things happen in this series, and, hopefully nothing too crazy happens here as we get to the closing laps of this race. We got about 7 to go here, coming back to 6 to go.
93 still trying to hound David Day in the 5. I don't think he's going to have enough. I really don't. David Day just doing a great job of wheeling that Chevy Camaro.
Absolutely. David Day, I'm watching his corners, the way he hustles the car down
39's up in the
corner
wall.
on exit.
All right, so
Both
that
make it
lap,
by just about.
as I said, that lap car in the wall, so that'll take him out of the way of the leaders. So now have smooth sailing to the finish.
Oh, 39 in the wall!
39 in the wall. The 9 has doored him coming off of turn 4.
So we're at 5 to go.
Hopefully he can keep it going here.
Still green flag.
93 looks like he's making another run.
Maybe he was saving his stuff a little bit there.
Oh, we have a caution. 39 around the backstretch, and that might be the race.
That might be the race.
As the 5 will lead it to the line. Remember, we will not have a green white checkered. We run by the old-fashioned rules here.
Oh.
So that may or may not be the end of this event. If so, a hard-fought victory for the 5 car David Day.
You hate to see that one end under caution if that's how it's going to be. I was
Yeah,
betting
that
it
was.
to be a very,
It
very
really
good battle.
was. It really was. Those two were slugging it out. And it looked like the 93 had saved just enough on his tires to make one last charge, but I think it's going to be all not as.
Oh!
My
Oh!
goodness. What is going on here?
And they're all
They are all wrecking it up. I'm not sure what's going on.
Oh!
Davey, reach out the booth. Is it raining outside right now?
I don't feel anything. I don't feel any rain. All the helicopters are still in the sky. The race is still going.
Okay,
I don't understand
all right.
what just happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure what just happened there.
We'll try to go
We're
back
gonna
to a
have-
replay.
We're going to have to try to get to the bottom of that. That was strange. It looked like everybody broke traction at the same time there.
I wonder if we have.
Oh, the 5 just got around. And just heavy. There's a lot going on there, guys.
I did hear a report from pit road that they were finding extra bits of tungsten in the sides of a bunch of these cars. So it's very possible. They did hold the 9 and the 15 through tech at least 2 times today.
As we'll go to see the replay of what brought out the caution, the 47 just runs over the 39 off of 2.
Yeah, and you hate to see that. I mean, the 39's definitely been off pace. He's had damage all night. You hate to see him get involved in another incident. Tough night for Keith Batson, but like I said, next week we go to Super Speedway, opportunity race for these guys. You never know. A guy that finishes 6th or 7th here might be in the running for a win next week. You just never know when you go to Talladega.
And he's going to get a top 5 out of this race because the 47 retired after that incident. So
Well, there you go. Perseverance is key.
you got to run as many laps as you can, and you might just crack out a top 5.
And honestly, if there's anything that any tip that I can give any sim racer, it's stick with it. Yeah, you might be having a rough night, but track time is key. The more laps you can put down on these circuits, the better you're going to get. And just always try to get as much track time as you can.
As you see, the white flag is in the air.
Yeah, do we have a speed yet, or is this just the white flag lap?
This is the white flag lap.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe we'll get some sponsors for next week.
And
We can plug
again,
them in there for the white flag.
next week will be a doozy at the Talladega Super Speedway in beautiful Talladega, Alabama.
Yeah, and just remember, next week, Talladega, the finish line, not in the tri-oval, but just past the tri-oval. So one of the more unique start and finish lines on the circuit will probably add a lot more drama to next week's race than there already would be.
Oh, there's been a couple races where I needed that start-finish line to be in the middle of trial. Well, you don't have to tell me that.
Yeah, unfortunately, you and me both.
You guys just brought up a lot of bad memories.
As the field comes off a turn 4 for the final time under caution, and David Day will win at Richmond Raceway.
Congratulations to David Day and that whole 5 team. They definitely were the class of the field this evening. Unfortunate to see a lot of your other favorites drop out with mechanic failures, but hey, that's part of racing. So
Absolutely, David Day did a great job all night. Was able to.
He turned him around.
A little bit of chaos. He was not only able to hustle the car, get as much out of the tire as possible. He actually kept his on it a lot better than most people probably could. As he's gonna try and burn him off now, but yeah, he did a very, very, very good job balancing hustle and conservation.
Yep, yes, he did. He really, we questioned all night, Davey, about tires. You got to keep them on the car, and we thought maybe he was pushing a little too hard, but apparently we thought wrong because he managed the gap when he needed to, and he was he was quicker than the field. I mean, he was the class of the field tonight. There was no stopping him from winning here.
All right, and again, I would like to thank first you two for joining me up here in the booth tonight for the inaugural broadcast on the Johto Network. Funny how I got that name, huh? Here at the Richmond Raceway. And I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. We hope to see you next week at Talladega. We'll be on at the same time, 9:05 roughly, after qualifying has been conducted by the Friends as Sim Racers Tour Racing League Mountain Dew Dash Series, presented by the Fast Racing League, TDR Racing League, and Fuel Racing Leagues. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.